And well guys, welcome to another little tutorial. Now in this tutorial I'm going to show you guys how I made this little checker thing for placement, the visual, how it goes from red to clear, or what I call clear. Now the clear state you can put it any color you want, like green or something like that if you want. It's in the inspector. The red is also in the inspector if you wanted, or just hard coded into the building or something. But yeah, it's very easy to make this, and believe it or not, this isn't integrated too much into any other systems, just for disabling and enabling it. So, and if you're thinking this is some kind of casted in a way where it comes from building data, not really. This is its own independent mono behavior pretty much. And it works relatively good. I mean, the size we're going to be fiddling with probably later, because we're going to have turrets that, may take 4 tiles and stuff. So we're going to have to mess with it a little, which isn't too bad. Now these turrets have got all the technological upgrades, and I made them with extreme amount of health just for, testing how good they are and how they interact with the tanks. Because I'm still working on some good hard numbers for, first level, second level, things like that, to balance it out, because balancing is very important. And I'm still working on this right here. This is my right mouse button to move this from side to side and stuff. It's still kind of jittery and stuff like that, so I'm working on that as well. But I thought it'd be a good time to show you guys this placement thing, because it works actually quite well, and my frames per second isn't going down or anything. It actually works really well, so I think I feel comfortable with how it is right now. So without further ado, I'm going to show you how to make this little red boxy thing. It's not with any shader or nothing like that. It's actually quite easy. So let's quit this. Okay. And the prefab in itself, we have an empty game object and then a plane underneath it. Now the reason why I do this is because if we have any problems with hit.point, I don't want to hard code or anything like an offset. I want it to make sure that it's there. So I put a parent object and then made the plane a child. Now I have this checkbox script right here, and it references the mesh renderer, because I've got access to materials and a whole bunch of other stuff. I don't put shadows or receive shadows or any of that garbage on here, because it doesn't need it. It would be dumb to have that, right? And I see no reason to have something like that there. Okay, now I just called it checkbox. Names doesn't matter. I use a layer mask here, and the only thing that I'm concentrating on is if this hits a tower. Now you're probably thinking I'm using on collision enter and exit or stay or anything like that. No, I am not. I'm not using any of those kind of functions. And the material is easy. I've made it transparent, and it's just these numbers right here. If you copy this down, if you want to know the exact numbers, it's right here. They allow for hex code right here. Or you could just type it in right here. Okay? And that's all. And then the clear color is whatever you want. I put, the white right here, but you can have it colored up pink, purple, blue, whatever you want. I mean, it's really completely up to you. Okay? Because we're changing this at runtime anyway. Now, let's get into some code. Okay. And we will go to our lovely virtual studio. Okay. And the script is called checkbox. I don't know why we have collections or generic there. It's actually really dumb. And this is a very simple script. It's a mono behavior, so it does attach to a game object. Renderer, clear, block color. I hard coded it to red, but you can always serialize this into a serializable field and make this into the inspector, but I'm not going to, because I always want it to be red, because that's just the way I picture it, right? But that's just my personal preference. All you have to do is add this line and it will be in the inspector. We have a layer mask and a transform. Okay? Now, do I actually use parent dot? Oh, yeah. I do. So I do this in update, and it doesn't inherit or nothing dumb like that. And I do a physics box check. Physics box check can do this in the transform.position, and then I go builder.data.size. Because if I want to change the size of it, I will have it to this builder.data.size, because I want to get it from our data side. And then I just do quaternion.identity because I don't care about the rotation, and I pass in a layer mask. Now, if this is false, because checkbox returns true or false, it doesn't do an array of objects or anything like that. So it's relatively pretty easy. If it doesn't collide with anything, which we're only checking to make sure it doesn't collide with a specific layer, which is towers, which everything that I build goes to towers anyway, because we want the collision and damage to all go to towers. Okay, just like enemies all goes to the enemy layers. Okay, we don't want to check tags or nothing like that. I don't do tags. If you want to do tags, then you just, this system won't work for you. Okay, you'll have to come up with some other way of doing tags. But we do renderer material.color equals clear, which comes from this right here. So we're passing in clear if we are not colliding with anything. Okay, and then else, which isn't an if else, nothing like that. It's an else statement, so it goes one way or the other. Renderer.color.block, which, like I said, you can make this any color you want. Just add this line or just make it public, and it will be in the inspector where you can see it. But I didn't see the reason to make it public or anything like that, because that's just my preference. So if you want to change it, there's a property right there to change it. Okay, and there's how you set it. Now I have another if statement here because I want to change the scale to parent.localScale equal if it does not equal the size that we have in our builder data. So every single frame, it's checking the size of it. Okay. Now I'm sure later on we'll find some other, other way of doing it, but right now it doesn't matter. It's not affecting my program or anything like that. And besides, this is basically an if statement anyway. It checks what these two are and compares and doesn't change it unless they don't match. So it's probably really quick, not even very much processing time at all. And then parent.localScale equals the size. If this returns false for any reason, then it changes the size. And they don't have like a size. So like transform.scale, it doesn't have it has some kind of loose scale or something like that, and I tried it. It didn't act right. So I tried local scale, and it worked perfectly good. So that's what I went with. Okay, and that is the easiest way that I found to do that. Now, you're probably thinking, well, this isn't everything. And you would be right. It's not everything. It is actually only about half the battle. Now, we have to go into building mode, okay? And we reference this stuff in the builder data class. Now, I could probably went somewhere else and do this and not have a property or anything, but I put it in here because it's kind of a visual thing. And when I look at this script, I think visual layer. And this is the thing where you would, place this prefab in it. You have to have it in the scene. It doesn't instantiate for you. Okay? You place it in the scene and you just fill it out. That's it. Okay? So, the next thing we have to do is over here where it closes the panel, we have to put this prefab for the visual stuff to false because we don't need it because building mode is disabled, right? So it makes no sense to have that around. Or maybe it does for you. Maybe you want some other type of script to run for you. I don't know. For this type of game right now, I have no need to have that little square around besides when we're building. So I put it to false. And now we are going to go into this. Turns the object off when we're in upgrade mode or any other mode. In building data, we have a reference to it for one specific reason. Building data is our data class. So we need to have the size right here. It's a property. It's permanently there for us. So whenever we're building something, we have a size to compare to. It's statically and it's publicly available. We don't care about that other stuff. Okay? Now, when we are doing our update, we have a pointer variable, right? Pointer equals new, floor, and so and so. Well, if we make sure that we are in the building layer, like we will go, hey, guess what? The builder area transform dot position equals pointer. Okay. If hit.transform.layer equals the building layer, like the ground, which we'll see is sneak preview builder is layer 9. It's a constant. So it is actually probably the ground. That would be my best guess right now. But just to make sure that I'm not lying to you, we're going to go into layers and add layers 9. That's for the ground. Okay. So it is for the ground. Alright. So let's go back to our code. Okay. Since we know it's layer 9. And we are using this, our variable right here, to place our prefab for the visual stuff to this point. And that's what when I move the mouse, it makes it snap, and plus it will place it where it needs to go. And it makes sense that it comes from this class because it is data. for the building mode. Then building mode is all the visual stuff. You know, the visualization stuff. This just does, hey, did I collide? Yes or no, and changes the size accordingly. And then building data places it where it needs to go and holds the information of what size it actually needs to be. And we need it to stay in this, like, if the hit transform is not null, and I had hit transform.gameObject. Believe it or not, it started giving me problems. So I went from hit.transform.gameObject to hit.transform, and it stopped. It started giving me errors, so I stopped. It's the last step of the game object, because of, I think what happens is it's something to do with rect transforms to regular transforms, which doesn't make sense because they're both children of the transform component, you know. But it gave me issues, so I moved it, okay, and it stopped, okay. So it should work really good for you. And that's about it. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. So this should give you more than enough. Now there was one thing about it. It was something, it was, and I'll show you, which is really weird in a way. Okay, let's say I start doing this and everything. Okay. And yada yada, I start building. If I go up to here to window, it was giving me an error. That's why I made that change in the code. Hit.transform.gameObject. I think it raycasts, and when it hits like in the editor window like this, which you don't have really a use for, but it's still an issue, right? Because what if I go up here and I want to open my console or something like that? Or maybe I close my project window. I'm like, oh no, right? So it was giving me errors. So yeah. So I changed it and it fixed that. So hopefully this helps you in your UI like thingy, or if you wanted some kind of visual like box thing on the ground, right? Now this probably could work for a lot of other types of games, so it's not entirely useless for other types, okay, like FPSs where you wanted some kind of build mode or something. Now I would do a ghost mode for game objects, like have the tower like as a ghost thing and then just go, but that means I gotta instantiate and have different kinds of prefabs, and you actually see a lot of games use something like this, okay? A lot of the games I've seen have used a system like this, where it's just a square, it's generic, and it's got a size, and that's about it. So hopefully this helps you out and stuff. Now I have some other stuff that I'm working on, like the upgrade panel, health, and this technology and hardware, where if I buy like it's no bummer, I was too late, but you can see the enemies shoot and all kinds of stuff, and if I go in here and try to build where they're there, it will actually not let me build. See, I can't build. Click, 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 click. You can probably hear my mouse. I'm just sitting here hammering the crap out of it. But it'll let me build now. Okay, and that's the whole thing about it. So, yeah. And, you know, later on we're going to have manufactured rockets, bullets, and stuff like that. Because, as you know, baby steps. You got to baby step everything around. That way, you know, when it comes time, you've got all your logic that you have to do, and there you go. Because build mode will improve later on, or, you know, a version of it is something that you need for the game. But the later versions, you know, later on when we go, hey, we want to build 5 power plants, and we can't build it until we actually have it built. We manufactured something. But, you know, that's later on. And 2, you know, maybe you don't want something like that. So, but take care, guys, and take it easy, and don't get frustrated if you break something or something's not working for you. Just ease into it, back up, and, you know, go, hey, how can I get this to work? What am I doing wrong? Or did I misspell something? A lot of times, misspelling is the devil there, or a curly brace. So, keep on coding and take care, guys, and have a nice day. This is Wardon, over and out.